بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على النبي الكريم وبعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us the opportunity to continue our lesson in Kitab AlAkhdari. This is going to be the 21st lesson under Zuhra Education Foundation. My name is Muhammad Sadis Yakob Geleso. Inshallah, we are going to continue from rulings on remembrance of obligatory part of prayers. ومن نسي الركوع وتذكر في السجود رجع قائما ويستحب له أن يعيد شيئا من القراءة ثم يركع ويسجد بعد السلام. ومن نسي الركوع, whoever forgets ركوع وتذكره في السجود and remembers it during the prostration, رجع, he should come back to the standing position. رجع قائما, he should come back to the standing position. ويستحب له أن يعيد شيئا من القراءة, and in such case it is recommended for him that he repeats something or to recite a portion of the Quran. ثم يركع, then perform the ruku. ثم يسجد بعد السلام, and he performs sujud al-ba'di, because here you can see he has added coming back to stand, and yes, he has added standing and a portion of the Quran. So for such case, he is required to do sujud al-ba'di. ومن نسي سجدة واحدة وتذكرها بعد قيامه رجع جالسا وسجدها إلا أن يكون قد جلس قبل القيام فلا يعيد الجلوس. ومن نسي سجدة واحدة, if a person forgets one prostration وتذكرها بعد قيامه and remembers it after standing, that means he missed the second prostration. رجع جالسا وسجدها, he must return back to sitting position and perform the missed prostration. إلا أن يكون قد جلس قبل القيام, unless if he had already performed the sitting before he stood up, فلا يعيد الجلوس, in such case he is not required to repeat the sitting. What we are seeing here is very simple. It's a situation whereby you forget the second sujood. So if it is not like in the first rak'ah, you just have to stand up and come up with the second rak'ah, the recitation and everything. So immediately after you stand up, you remember I have left the second sujood. So in such case, what you are going to do is that you come back and sit down. That sitting position is like the sitting between the two prostrations you're supposed to do, because since you stood up, that shows that immediately after the first sujood you stood up. So in such case, you have missed that sitting between the two prostrations. So that's why he said that you should come back and sit down. So after you sit down, then you go for the second sujood, and then from that place you can continue your prayers. But in such a case whereby after you raise up from the first sujood, you sat down, for instead of you to go for the second sujood, then you stood up, then in such case, where remember after you have started the recitation, you are just going directly to the second prostration without sitting. ومن نسي سجدتين خر ساجدا, in a situation whereby you forget the two prostrations, that means after the ruku you just went for the tahiyyah, and then you stood up later to start the next rak'ah. To خر ساجدا, the moment you remember that I did not observe the two prostration, you just go straight, you fall straight into the prostration. ولم this without sitting. ويسجد في جميع ذلك بعد السلام. In all these cases, you are going to do سجود البعدية. وإن تذكر السجود بعد رفع رأسه من الركعة التي تليها. But in the situation whereby one remembers a sujud, a prostration, after raising his head from the raka'ah that follows it, tamada ala salatihi, he should continue his prayer. Before we continue, we have to understand something, that a raka'ah is being considered to be a raka'ah, or is being considered to be a missed rak'ah immediately after someone raises from the ruku. What we are seeing here is that if you are in the second rak'ah, you have started your recitation, but you remember that I have left something in the first rak'ah. So if you are still in the stage of recitation, you can go back to the first rak'ah and make correct your mistakes. But in the situation whereby you raise from the ruku, then the first rak'ah is missed. You have already missed the opportunity to go back and correct anything. A rak'ah is missed or cannot be corrected immediately when the subsequent rak'ah when someone raises from the ruku of the subsequent rak'ah. So whenever that happens, then you cannot go back. So that's why he said here, وَإِن تَذَكَّرَ السُّجُودَ بَعْدَ رَفْعِ رَأْسِهِ مِنَ الرَّكْعَةِ الَّتِي تَلِيهَا, that if you remember a prostration after you raise your head from the rak'ah that follows the first one, or whichever marakah it is, then tabada ala salati, you should continue your prayers. وَلَمْ يَرْجِئْ, you are not going to return back. وَأَلْغَى رَكْعَةَ السَّهْوِ, and you discarded the deficient rak'ah. وَزَادَ رَكْعَةً فِي مَوْضِعِهَا بَانِيًا, and you add a new rak'ah at the end, building upon what has already been done. وَسَأَ قَبْلَ السَّلَامِ إِنْ كَانَتْ مِنَ الْأُولَيَيْنِ وَتَذَكَّرَ قَبْلَ عَقْدِ الثَّالِثَةِ, that you are going to prostrate before the salam if the mistake was from the first two rak'ah, and you remember before starting by raising from the bowing from the third rak'ah. What we are seeing here is that if this occurs in the first two rak'ah, you are going to do sujood al-qabli if in the situation whereby you remember before going for the third rak'ah, since you remember before going for the third rak'ah and you missed such a kind of thing, so you are going to do sujood al-qabli. And where the sujood al-qabli comes in is that where the sujood al-qabli comes in is that when you are making up the rak'ah, since it is bani, and you are just going to recite Fatiha alone, and it's going to be silent. But in the first and second rak'ah, it's used to have Fatiha and Surah. So this shows that you have omitted the recitation of Surah and standing for the recitation. So in such case, you are going to observe sujood al-qabli because you have reduced something. And وَسَجَدَ بَعْدَ السَّلَامِ إِن لَمْ تَكُنْ مِنَ الْأُولَيْنِ, and if it is not in the first two rak'ah, you are going to observe sujood al-ba'di, because in the last two rak'ahs it normally happens to be Fatiha alone. So in such case, that you added one rak'ah because you have discarded one rak'ah because it lacks maybe sujood prostration, we consider that you have done 5 rak'ats with one that does not have sujood. So in such case, we will consider you doing addition, that you have added something in the prayers which you are going to observe sujood al-ba'di. أو كانت منهما وتذكر قبل عقد الثالثة أو كانت منهما, or it happens before أو كانت وسجد بعد السلام إن لم تكن من الأولين أو كانت منهما, or it happens from them, that is from the first two rak'ats. وتذكر قبل عقد الثالثة, and someone remembers that before going for the third rak'ah, لأن سورة الجلوس لم يفوتها, this is because the surah and the seating were not missed. Inshallah, we are going to stop here, alhamdulillah, because we need to explain this example in the next class, which we are going to continue from أو كانت منهما. Assalamu alaikum.